Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. We're really glad to have you all here. For those of you who don't know, my name is Danielle Cuomo, and I am the owner of Virtual Assist USA. And I'm joined by Nicole Gallicchio-Elz, who is our COO, and she has a lot of great insights for you today as well. And so you probably joined this webinar today because you might have a lot of questions about what you should delegate to your virtual assistant, how to delegate to your virtual assistant, and just in general using a VA to your advantage to make sure that you are getting a good return on your investment. And so we're going to talk about all of those things today and just make sure that you have all of the information that you need to make it a very successful and efficient relationship. And again, to have a good ROI on your investment. So just to tell you a little bit about myself and about Nicole, I started this business 15 years ago, and so I've seen a lot of changes in the industry, big growth trajectory over the past 15 years. Certainly, there's been impacts with COVID and more people remote working, but those have all actually been very positive for the outsourcing industry. And Nicole is our COO. She has been instrumental in the growth of our company, and she has some really great insights on the operational side as well. And from her perspective, in just working with clients, training virtual assistants, building teams of virtual assistants, and of course, doing this all remotely. And so we're really excited to be here today. And at the end, we'll also share some information about how you can get in touch with us if you do have questions or have anything additional that you would like insights on. We love these topics and we'd be happy to share more information with you. So first, we're going to talk about, what a virtual assistant is, what a VA can do for you, and how you get started with them. So I think that in my experience, when a lot of entrepreneurs or executives see the prospect of hiring a virtual assistant, they think it's a great idea. And when they realize that they have to make an investment in this, and generally, speaking from an hourly rate perspective, you're looking at about 35 to 45 or 50 an hour is sort of the going rate in the US for a US-based virtual assistant here. And so sometimes you might see that fee and your gut reaction might be, I can just do this myself. I can hunker down, do the work myself, especially for entrepreneurs. You've probably done this in many other areas of your business. And you might be thinking, oh, I can't afford to hire a virtual assistant. This isn't something that I need right now. But I think what you'll hear from Nicole and I, and a lot of what we've seen is that the truth can be, you might not be able to afford not to hire a virtual assistant because they can be very beneficial for your business and help you to grow your business and generate revenue and take tasks off your plate. So really what we see is that our business owner clients, our entrepreneurial clients, they're sort of stuck with the job of being a generalist. And so that means that you're wearing a ton of different hats in your business. You're doing all of these things yourself. And this can definitely work for a while. But soon most people realize, if they have to stay on top of all the things they need to do, there's just not enough time in the day. Maybe some challenges are a little too complex. Maybe there's areas that aren't in your expertise. And so that's really when people start to think that they need to get some help in this area. And so let's talk just a little bit more about what a virtual assistant can actually do for you. So of course you can think of the tasks that you don't want to be doing yourself. This can be administrative, it can be digital marketing, it can be content development, it can be creating automations. Especially in the last 6 months, you may have heard a lot about AI and how automations can help improve your business and make things more efficient. So it can be arranging all of that. Generally, what I like to say to our clients or prospective clients is that a virtual assistant can do anything that you need done in your business that you don't want to do yourself, that you don't know how to do yourself, or maybe that you think someone else can do it better or faster or cheaper or more efficiently than you can. That is something that is really anything a virtual assistant can do. Sometimes I joke with our clients that the only thing we can't do is, bring your coffee to you in the morning, but we can do everything else. So basically, a virtual assistant is there to help you with any task that you need in your business. Um, and they can do it as much or as little as you need. So most virtual assistants work in an on-demand basis. So if one week you need 5 hours of support and the next week you need 20 hours of support, unlike a traditional employee, there's that complete flexibility there.
Said that um, I can't do it all myself, right? So how do we begin to effectively delegate when you've made the decision that, yes, this is something that I need? I can't tackle everything on my plate. So I like to tell the clients that I talk to that there's really no quick solution to saying, I'm going to pass all of these tasks to someone and expect success. And it can be challenging to delegate tasks, particularly when you have a feeling that you already have a lot going on. I can't just do it myself. I can just do it myself. So, putting speculation into actions, the first and most important step towards successful delegation, in my opinion, is gaining an understanding of the responsibilities you have and keeping your concentration on expanding your business. Once you discover those things that you are looking to take off your plate, eh, write them down, right? Don't just keep them all in your brain. And I think Danielle, you would agree that when you have them in your brain, that it's not it's not going to work, right? So write them down and start putting them into buckets. What what can I delegate and quantify them, visualize them. The second part that I think a lot of people miss is understanding your communication style. If you don't understand how you communicate and perceive other communication, you're setting yourself up for failure, especially in the remote world. There are many assessments and free assessments at that to kickstart your understanding of communication. It's a little deeper, though, especially when looking for an assistant. There are a lot of factors depending on the first step, right? What are you delegating? So, for example, even if you say your behavioral style is the communicator, and you think, I'm a communicator, I need someone who's going to communicate with me. You interview a bunch of assistants, and you like the person that chit chats with you, that we have a great synergy. Then you give them some tasks, and what you get back is lacking, and it might leave you confused. Well, what are those tasks that you gave them? Was it someone that really should have been detail oriented and analytical in order to accomplish what you're looking for? So, this type of understanding and analysis really minimizes the possibility of miscommunication and definitely leads to higher productivity. It's not something I think a lot of people think of when they first say, I need a virtual assistant. I need to know what my communication style is. I need to know how the tasks that I'm looking to have executed are going to be perceived by another person. But it is really something that is going to set you up for success. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Of course, there are numerous behavioral style assessments that will give you in detail background, but just starting out, take a couple of free assessments, understand your own, know if you're a communicator, are you detail oriented? Are you someone that is um, high level driven, that you have the bird's eye view and you need someone to narrow it down? So, part of what we do at Virtual Assist is take that into consideration, and it's something that builds as time goes on. So, now the what, right? So, for a lack of a better term, a lot of CEOs, executives get writer's block, right? What can I delegate? I have all of this stuff. What can I pass off? So there's quite a few things and quite a vast list. So we'll go through that in upcoming slides. I'll move through some more suggestions with details, but overall, I always want to default to just ask. It can never hurt to create a quick Loom video with what you're looking for, how to do it, send it over, and see if it's something that your assistant can handle. If you're thinking you're just assuming that they're going to be able to not complete it or execute it, you're taking step back a step backwards, right? You're wasting your time. You're going to execute that. You're going to get frustrated, and you may not ultimately want to use an assistant. So, the what? Research. Pretty much, I would say anything blog related, researching a competitor, researching journal articles, researching platforms, right? So social media management, all platforms there. There are numerous that are expanding. Your virtual assistant can set up a weekly email or a meeting. They can respond to postings. They can give feedback on the analytics. What is your social media doing? Do you need to make changes? Do you have a strategy in social media? The research not only goes along with things that you may be researching within your company, but also platforms like social media engagement. QuickBooks. This is something that you may look for a bookkeeper for, but as far as simple bookkeeping, um, entering expenses, balancing a sheet, I would say start with something low level if you're looking to engage your assistant in bookkeeping to just see their general knowledge. I wouldn't say that I would use a virtual assistant right away for high level CFO type work. Start very entry level. Organizing. This is a big one. Filing. Keeping you organized, really, right? So I know I use my assistant to remind me of things, to just organize my day and take what is in my brain, put it on paper so that I can concentrate on the bigger pictures. So a little more detail, travel planning. Just because you're utilizing a virtual assistant does not mean that it has to be strictly for your business. You can use them for personal reasons as well, right? Booking a flight, booking hotels, setting up a rental car, and finding different venues. Email management. This one is big for, I think, a lot of executives, especially when your inbox is flooded. I know it may be scary to give someone your email password, so there are ways around it. There are different platforms, there are different techniques, there are different inbox sharing. You can simply forward an email and ask someone your assistant to respond to them. Unsubscribing you from junk mail. That is definitely not something a CEO or an executive should be doing. You can have your assistant do research on different integrations that can take this off your plate. They can set it up for you, or they can simply do it manually themselves. Calendar management. They can research a scheduling link for you. They can manage that scheduling link, do event coordination, setting up appointments, confirming or setting up a platform that can confirm your appointments for you. So this list is really vast. I'll give you a couple of more examples to just, again, get us out of that writer's block as to what can I delegate, especially to a virtual assistant. And if it's, remote or in person, there are similarities, just different ways of communicating, right? Which we talked about. Writing. This is a little bit skewed at the moment because there are a lot of AI tools that I know a lot of executives are using, but there has to be a human component to it, especially when it comes to the research and statistics that you may be using in your blogs. That's something that is a little, because it's outdated, right? So they may give you a statistic, but it may be something from 1980. So you're definitely going to want to have your assistant review anything AI, or you can simply have them write your blogs. They can write emails, create templates for you, set up templates in your inbox if you're not already using them. They can write down procedures, SOPs, presentations, like this one, right? My assistant assisted me with putting this whole presentation together. It was not something that necessarily needed my attention. It was something that I gave her all of the topics and had her compile the presentation for me. And I put the notes together. Audio and video editing for podcast, vlogs, course creation, right? Course creation is really big. A lot of executives feel that they need to do the entire course themselves, but that is definitely not the case. There are a lot of ways that you can interject your assistant to get this done for you. Lastly, a CRM. So they can be industry specific, like SpeakerFlow or Salesforce, but it's important to remember that not everyone knows everything about all platforms. There are a lot of new technologies and emerging companies. So having someone on your team who knows how to do quick research, watch tutorials, and implement what you need of a CRM will be effective and definitely beneficial. So set that expectation with yourself that they're not going to know everything, and you definitely need to have a little leeway for them to do research or train themselves on a platform. But this is definitely going to be beneficial for you because they may see something that you're not currently doing during that training, and it may take time out of time off your plate to get it set up, and then it can run smoothly. So I'm going to pass it back to Danielle, and she'll talk a little bit about where to start.
Thank you, Nicole. One thing I just wanted to add quickly to what Nicole said is she talked a lot about all of the different tasks that you can outsource to a virtual assistant. So everything that you can get off your plate. But one thing that I don't see a lot of, and I rarely get this question, but I think it's an important question, is what should you not let your virtual assistant do? What are some tasks or functions that should stay in-house? And for me, as Nicole provided so many different options and tasks and projects that you can take off your plate, just by doing some of the things that she mentioned, you'll save a ton of time. But the things that I think need to stay in-house are really just the things that need to happen organically. So these are things like your company culture, developing your vision for the business, your plan. Um, a virtual assistant can help you to offer recommendations on those things about how to grow your business, how to improve your company culture, that sort of thing. But it's really up to you to implement those ideas that your virtual assistant's giving you, and keep those efforts going. So really, those are the only things I think that you should not be outsourcing to a virtual assistant, and that's something that that is really important to keep in mind. So where to start with a virtual assistant? I think, well, you've heard Nicole say all the different things that a VA can do. It's pretty easy to think, well, anyone could use a virtual assistant. And I think that's true. So you could say, who should hire a virtual assistant? It should be anyone. But I think there is a difference when you're ready to hire a virtual assistant. And so when you're going to start hiring a virtual assistant, there's a couple of questions that you should ask yourself. One thing is, am I a micromanager? So for us, our clients, we've been working with them for 15 years, and they still exercise, some degree of control over their business. But the most successful clients, the ones that work most successfully with a virtual assistant, they don't stifle their virtual assistant. They encourage their VA to come up with new ideas and be proactive. And really, our philosophy is that micromanaging your virtual assistant is really counterproductive. Our VAs all make a very conscious, honest effort to earn their clients' trust by succeeding, and being in communication with them and letting them know things are getting done. And that sort of prevents any need for micromanaging because the clients feel that they're kept in the loop. They can trust their virtual assistant. But that's definitely a place to start, just to get into your own head about how you feel about managing someone, especially remotely. Another thing is, when you're going to start with a virtual assistant, ask yourself if you're okay receiving feedback. So particularly here at Virtual Assist USA, we really think that our virtual assistants are different than some other companies out there because we're really proactive with our clients. We can come together collectively to share clients what's worked in the past with others in their industry, what hasn't worked, maybe what they should try. our VAs here, I think I speak for Nicole and I when we say they're just as passionate as they're talented, and they're knowledgeable, and they're focused, and they're experts in their areas. And so what that means is that they will have feedback for you, suggestions, ideas, strategies, just different pieces like that. And so it's important to ask yourself when you're thinking about starting with a virtual assistant, am I okay receiving these things? Am I going to be okay receiving feedback or someone being proactive and giving me a suggestion? A lot of people will also ask, when I'm starting with a virtual assistant, do I need to write a job description? And so that sort of comes from the old way of thinking, where you're thinking that a virtual assistant is replacing an employee. But a virtual assistant is really an alternative to an employee. So it's not exactly like an employee relationship. I often will tell our clients to think of their virtual assistant just as they would think of another professional provider in their business, like their CPA or their attorney, sort of thinking of it as a professional advisement type of role. So you don't need to think of exactly a typical job description that's something you would be posting on Indeed, because your virtual assistant is also going to be able to come to you with ideas. But think of it more like listing your priorities, things that you want to get done, the end result. At the end of 6 months, I would like to have created a course. I would have liked to have written an ebook. I would like to create some evergreen content and webinars. And if you provide that information to your virtual assistant, rather than what you would think of as a traditional job description, your VA, a good VA, is going to be able to work backwards and share that with you. And so, as I was saying, to be a VA that's going to be proactive with you, that's something that is really important. It's something that you should ask during the onboarding process. Remember that your virtual assistant is going to be giving you back time. And when you think of it that way, it really is a game changer for you. And so, again, just be open to the proactive solutions from your virtual assistant, the suggestions, the experience that they're bringing to you, and be open to that, because they're really going to be able to afford you more opportunities in that regard.
So Danielle, you said that, right, try not to be a micromanager, right? Let your VA be proactive. I want to talk a little bit about why delegation is often hard, especially if you're trying not to be a micromanager. There's a difference between micromanaging and setting expectations. I think giving an example is probably going to be the most beneficial to you. So I start out with an assistant and I simply say, research the new AI platforms and send them back to me in a document. Yes, this is vague, but in your mind, or at least in my mind, okay, I'm going to do some research and I'm going to give my client back this information. They give it back to you. They spent 15 minutes. They did a couple of bullet points. They put Chat GPT, Jasper, and a couple of other ones. You look at it and this was not your expectation, right? You're saying to yourself, I didn't micromanage them. I just, gave them this sentence or a couple of words and I wanted them to be proactive, but what you got back was not what you expected. So setting the expectation to say something like, can you please send me back a document, a spreadsheet, spend 2 to 3 hours on it. I would like in the spreadsheet to have columns X, Y, and Z. I need this to be detailed to make a decision on which is the most cost effective and has the ability to write blogs for one of my clients. We already looked at Jasper and it was not a fit. It is also okay to look at articles, review other platforms, read client reviews or user reviews, and spend about 2 to 3 hours on it. This took you maybe an extra 10 seconds to say or type out, and it sets up a higher success rate for getting back what you're looking for the first time. So while it's not micromanaging, it is just setting the expectation of this is what I'm looking for. And as Danielle said, the end goal, right? Why I'm looking to have it back. This also allows them to be proactive when they're in their search to say, oh, this is the end goal. I saw this. Maybe my client would like to know a little bit more about this because I found it during my research. And I think you'd be very surprised at what you got back.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about figuring out what you can hand off to your virtual assistant. So something that I like to tell clients is to create a bucket or a list. You can do this for a day, you can do it for 3 or 5 days, and just write down literally every single task that you do for the day. It can seem like a lot of work, and it is at the outset, but I promise you there's a return on this. And so when we make a list of all the tasks that you do on a daily basis or over the course of a couple days, we can then take all those tasks and we can put them into 3 buckets or categories. Here you'll see on the slide, we say, love it, hate it, gotta do it. Another way that I like to say it is, tasks that only you can do. And to go back to what I was saying before, things like developing your company culture, developing your mission for the business, planning your vision for the next year or 5 years. Those are things that only you can do. Maybe only you can do your sales calls, your introductions to clients, bringing in business. Those might be things that go into that bucket. And hopefully those are things that you love to do. Hopefully that's, why you got into this business that you're doing in the first place, and it's what you're really passionate about. And so we keep things there. And that love it list, or those things that only you can do, those stay on your plate. And then we talk about the other 2 categories. So the other list is, can someone else do this? It's something maybe that you hate doing. Maybe it's something that you're just not really good at. So for example, if you're not a bookkeeper, it might take you 3 hours to reconcile your monthly books, when it might take your virtual assistant 30 minutes to do it because your VA is a trained bookkeeper and they're a certified QuickBooks advisor and they know how to do it efficiently. It's something that still needs done. You still need to do your monthly reconciliations, but you don't need to be doing it. Someone else can do it, again, a lot faster than you, and you can take those 3 hours that you were fussing with your books and trying to make sense of things and do something that's in that love it category. And then the gotta do it category. This is where I think that we can not only something that you don't have to do, something that you don't have to delegate, but can you automate these things? Nicole touched on a little bit of, there's a lot of talk lately in the past 6 months or so about some of the different AI tools that are coming out. And there's a lot of options to automate what you're doing. Your virtual assistant can help you. Maybe it's automate sending invoices or sending payment reminders. So it's something that in our business that's automated. Our system is set up to automatically send payment reminders if someone hasn't viewed their invoice or paid their invoice in a certain amount of time. So that's a great example of something that you can automate in your business. And your VA can help you with that, but that's really something that's one and done. Maybe your VA takes an hour or 2 to help you automate some tasks, and that's the last time you have to pay someone to do those tasks because it's pushed into an automation system and you're not doing it anymore and things are running a lot more efficiently. So if you think about putting together a list of your tasks in those 3 buckets, something that you love doing, that you're going to do yourself, you're going to continue to do it yourself, what can you delegate, and then what can you automate? That's really important. And then finally, just I mentioned that I would share with you how you can get in touch with Nicole and I. We would love to talk to you if you have any questions about maybe you're currently working with a virtual assistant and you want to know how to make it more effective. Maybe it's something that you're exploring and you're interested in. So you can reach out to us. You can find Nicole at virtualassistusa.com. And you can find me at DJC That's Danielle Juliet Cuomo, so djc@virtualassistusa.com. You can email us at any time. We're always around. We would love to answer your questions. We're also on social media, and so you can follow us there. We like to share lots of content and tips about these topics, and we'd be happy to do so anytime.
Thank you, Danielle. I'll also add that if you're looking for more information on how to delegate, what to get delegate, Danielle and I host a podcast called Not Your Average CEO Lifeline, and we have different guests that come on and speak. And there are several episodes about delegating. And we recently did one on how to avoid the urgency trap with our special guest, Dr. Jean. So there are a lot of different resources there as well for you to get more information on this topic. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to chat with you soon.
Thank you, everyone.